Hello, and welcome back to a special E-Hermes Electric Adventure Travel Series. We are taking the Rivian R-1-S to the Casita Travel Trailer Factory in Rice, Texas to pick up a new Casita Independence Deluxe, then down to Bryan, Texas to Casita Works, a fabricating shop that specializes in modifications to Casita trailers. After that, we're going to wander throughout Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and we might even make a quick dash into Old Mexico. Then we'll be dropping Mrs. E-Hermes off at the Albuquerque airport, where she will be flying back to Northeast Ohio for a family commitment. I will then finish driving the Rivian and Casita back to Northeast Ohio. We will show you what it's like to travel, hike, camp, e-bike, and sightsee in a Casita, towed by a Rivian, and any special charging challenges we might encounter. So come along with us. Welcome back to E-Hermes, your electric adventure travel channel. Please remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit that bell button to be notified each time an episode of this series is uploaded. Welcome back. In today's episode on our adventure from Southwest Florida, picking up our Casita camper with our Rivian and then driving and using it, we're going to go from the Wichita Mountain National Wildlife Refuge, where we spent the last 2 nights, to Amarillo, Texas, first of all, and then to Palo Duro State Park, which is just south of there. We'll have 2 charging stops. It is a little bit dicey today. The distance between the first and second charging stop is about 165 miles, and there is nothing, and I mean nothing, in between, not even a J1772. So we have to make sure we get plenty of charge at that second stop. We were able to charge at the campground here at Doris Campground in Wichita Mountains National Wildlife Refuge, because I was told they only had a 30 amp 120 volt, but actually we had the holy grail of 20 amp 30 amp and 50 amp 240 volt. So we've got about a 96% charge, actually 97% charge, and it's not very far to the first charging stop, but at that one, that's where we have to charge up to at least to 90, probably to 95, to make sure we make it to Amarillo. Here we go. We have arrived at the Quanah, Texas Tesla Supercharger. We're going to charge here. We drove 94.3 miles, took 47% of the battery, 1.4 miles per kilowatt hour. We have about 150 miles to go to Amarillo, so we're going to charge at least to 90, and I think 95%. If 47% went 95 miles, then 95% would go 180 miles. We don't have nearly that much, so we'll charge to between 90 and 95.
right, so we have made it to Amarillo. We have 9% battery left. We actually went past the charging stations. We're going to have a little division of labor here. Mrs. E-Hermes is going to go to the laundromat here and do a load of laundry, and then I'm going to go back about 5 or 6 miles to the chargers and get charged. So despite the fact that we had pretty bad weather, it was rainy a lot, we had an elevation increase of about 2,000 feet. We still made it here for my last charge with plenty to spare. All right, after dropping Mrs. E-Hermes off at the laundromat, I arrived at the Tesla supercharger with 6% battery. We're going to go ahead and charge here. We don't have much further to go, and we have a 50 amp outlet at our campsite. Hopefully it'll work. I'm going to make sure that I charge enough here that I can get to the campsite and back. So we'll probably be here for about 15 and 20 minutes. Go pick up Mrs. E-Hermes and then go off to the campsite at Palo Duro State Park. Palo Duro Canyon State Park. The thing about Palo Duro Canyon State Park, or actually the canyon itself, is it's so unexpected. You're just driving along through these high prairies like we've been pretty much all afternoon, and you come upon it. There's your first hint of it off to the right in the distance. Ooh, there it is. Looky there, looky there. We have arrived at Palo Duro Canyon State Park Mesquite Campground Site 79. Today we drove 282 miles. We averaged 1.3 miles per kilowatt hour. We had some rain. We had about 2,000 feet of elevation gain. And then the last little bit, we had a pretty stiff headwind. So not great, but not surprising. Looking forward to seeing the sights of Palo Duro Canyon State Park this week.
Oops, maybe not. Due to the heavy rains the day before, all trails in the park, not just a single trail, were closed for the day. So we decided to get on our bicycles and go for some bike rides, including down the main hill. Well, I did that, Mrs. E-Hermes did not. Down from the top of the canyon into the canyon. We did see on our bike ride several animals in the park, including our first actual road runner that we had never seen before. Kind of interesting. Also this turkey. Then in the afternoon, we decided to go and have some wine at the Bar Z Winery. Finally, the next day, the trails were finally open. So we got on our e-bikes and rode up to the trailhead for the Lighthouse Trail, the most iconic trail in the park. If you're going there, it's something you just have to do. Along the way, we saw some very interesting cacti, including some that were in full bloom. When you get to the base of the lighthouse, you have several options. You can stop there and admire the view, or there's a pretty rough, strenuous trail that gets you to the top, where I was here, looking down over the valley. If you're really bold, like these young fellas, you can climb all the way to the top, but that looked too risky for me. We rounded out our day with some light mountain biking on some of the trails you can ride in the park. The positive from all the recent rain is that the burn ban has been lifted, so we were able to have a campfire. Before heading out on our final day, I got up early and did one last hike to Big Cave, which is located very near the roadside. It's actually pretty big in here, and the cave goes all the way through and has some openings in the roof as well. I headed out to the entrance of the cave just as the sun was beginning to rise over the canyon walls beyond. Then, when I got back to the road, I took one last look back at the cave entrance. We certainly hope that you've enjoyed this look at Palo Duro Canyon State Park. If you did, please hit that like button. As always, please subscribe and please hit that bell button to be notified when the next episode in this series airs. Thank you!